T minus 30 seconds. T minus 15 seconds. T minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ignition. And the liftoff is Falcon 9, go SpaceX, go World View region. Vehicle's pitching downrange.
Stage 1 propulsion is nominal.
At T plus 35 seconds and counting, Falcon 9 has successfully lifted off from Space Launch Complex 4 East, carrying the Worldview Legion satellites. In just a few seconds, we'll throttle the engines.
Telemetry nominal.
There's confirmation that engine telemetry is nominal. We are preparing to throttle the engines down in preparation for max Q, or the period of maximum aerodynamic
supersonic
pressure on the vehicle. And with that call out, we know that Falcon 9 is moving faster than the speed of sound. During ascent, we tilt the engines. There's the call out for max Q. Now, the technical term for that engine tilt is called gimbaling. That turns the rocket horizontally in what we call a gravity turn. The vehicle is still going up, but now we're also heading horizontally away from the launch pad. The rocket typically needs to go about 17,500 miles per hour in order to avoid being pulled back down to Earth and reach orbit. You can keep an eye on that Stage 1 telemetry in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. Now we have 5 events coming up in quick succession, and we should hear all of these called out by Mission Control, starting with MECO, then stage separation, SES-1, first stage boost back burn, and fairing separation. During MECO, we'll shut down all 9 M1D engines on the first stage. Stage separation is when the first and second stages of Falcon separate from one another. And second engine start 1 is when we will light the MVAC engine on board the second stage for the first time. Shortly after that, we should also see those 2 fairing halves jettisoned.
Main engine cutoff.
Stage separation confirmed.
MVAC ignition.
Stage 1 boost back startup.
Fairing separation confirmed.
So hopefully there you heard and saw those 5 events happening back to back, which again were MECO, stage separation, SES-1, first stage boost back burn begin, and fairing separation. Of course, we will be attempting to retrieve these fairing halves again today once they fall back to Earth with our recovery vessel, Go Beyond.
Stage 1 boost back shutdown.
There's confirmation that the first stage has ended its boost back burn. Really great views on your screen right now, too. We are just about T plus 3.5 minutes into today's mission, and just about 3 minutes from now, you should see on your screen the first stage's entry burn begin. Now, to start the entry burn, we will relight 3 of the M1D engines, starting with the center engine, known as E9, followed shortly after by the E1 and E5 engines. This is similar to pumping the brakes to slow down, and the vehicle will pass back.
Both vehicles are on nominal trajectories.
Confirmation there, we're on a nominal trajectory. Now, we need to slow down to reduce re-entry forces, which then helps us to recover and reuse the first stage. During the entry burn, Falcon 9 is decelerating by firing its Merlin engines, but we're still moving really fast. This causes the vehicle to fly through Merlin's exhaust gases, also known as the rocket's plume, which deposits a layer of soot on the vehicle surface. That soot comes from the carbon-based fuel that Falcon 9 uses, and with each flight, the soot builds up a little more on the outside of the rocket. Oftentimes, prior to launch, you can see the soot from prior flights on the first stage. Continuing to get really beautiful views from up in space. And of course, you can continue to track both the Stage 1 and Stage 2 telemetry in the bottom corners of your screen. On the left-hand side of the screen, you've got views of our grid fins with the Earth in the background. And on the right-hand side, you see our MVAC engine burning on board the second stage. On board the second stage are Maxar's first of 2 WorldView Legion satellites. Those satellites will replenish a portion of Maxar's existing constellation to expand capacity. Again, in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, you can track that Stage 1 telemetry as it continues to decrease its altitude on its way back to Earth. And in the bottom right-hand corner, you can watch Stage 2's ascent to orbit. The grid fins that you can see on your screen right now are the primary mechanical mechanism by which we steer the first stage on its re-entry. We're expecting entry burn to begin in just about 15 seconds.
Stage 1 entry burn startup.
There's confirmation of entry burn startup. Great view of that on your screen as well. Reusability is key to lowering the cost of spaceflight, which enables more investments in critical scientific research.
Stage 1 entry burn shutdown.
With confirmation of entry burn shutdown, the Falcon 9 first stage supporting today's mission has now performed that entry burn 20 times. The Merlins on the first stage are optimized for sea level. These achieve 190,000 pounds of thrust each during ascent and descent. At liftoff, Falcon 9's first stage, there's confirmation that both the first and second stage are still on nominal trajectories.
Stage 1 transonic.
Confirmation there that Stage 1 is transonic.
Stage 1 landing burn.
Stage 2 FDS has safed.
Right now, we're standing by for landing of Falcon back on landing zone 4 at Vandenberg Space Force Base in California.
Landing leg deploy. Stage 1 landing confirmed.
Confirmation there of the 20th launch and landing for this first stage. This is the third booster to complete 20 flights. And this landing marks SpaceX's 302nd recovery of an orbital class rocket, including Meanwhile, up in space, we're continuing to get beautiful views from our second stage. Again, today's 2 WorldView Legion satellites will replace a portion of Maxar's existing constellation, joining over 95 Maxar-built satellites already in orbit. Maxar combines frequent monitoring over key areas of change with scalable analytics to deliver near real-time information to their customers. The The WorldView Legion satellites on board Stage 2 today are the beginning of a new generation of satellite made to image the Earth more frequently and at higher resolution than ever before. WorldView Legion will support multiple kinds of data collection, allowing one platform to support both monitoring and mapping missions. Now we are standing by for confirmation of second engine cutoff 1, expected in just about 10 seconds.
MVAC shutdown.
There's confirmation of MVAC shutdown.
Nominal orbit insertion.
And confirmation of good orbit insertion. While we are just a few minutes away from payload deployment, it's going to happen between ground station coverage. So confirmation will come on X when we regain coverage later on in the mission. All of us here at SpaceX want to thank our customer Maxar for entrusting us with today's launch. And of course, we'd also like to thank the Range and Federal Aviation Administration for supporting today's mission. This will conclude our webcast coverage of SpaceX's 44th launch of 2024 and 339th overall mission to date. If you're interested in even more launch coverage, be sure to check spacex.com/launches for the most up-to-date information.